Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm back with a very niche style of content, and that is a rambly, chatty video about my feels for After We Collided the film. If you've watched me for a while, for a good couple of years, you will know that I read the series, loved it, and I filmed book reviews for each of the books. Apart from before, I get questions all the time. Did you read before? Yes, I did. I didn't like it. Didn't do a video about it. I've also watched After, obviously, and I never filmed a review for that because it came out on Netflix and it didn't really feel like a massive event. Whereas After We Collided, After 2, that came out in the cinemas. So I've been sitting on it for a couple of hours and I just thought to myself, I'm going to film my thoughts and my chats. If I feel like I want to put it on my channel, I will. If not, I'm just going to delete this content. So who knows if you're going to see it. I've already filmed part of it once and this corrupted. So doing it again, joys. So like I said, Netflix got After the original. We never got it in the cinemas in the UK. But ironically, the minute we have a global pandemic, it goes into cinemas, which doesn't really make sense, but what does anything make sense at the moment? Originally it was only released in like, I want to say it was like Showcase, Showtown, Show Screen, something like that, and there's only a few of those cinema things, houses, companies around the UK. It wasn't like your View, Odeon sort of thing. And then it came out like 3 weeks later in View and Odeon. Didn't have a clue. And my friend that I work with, she was like, oh my god, it's out. And I'm like, oh my god, hold the phone, let's go and see it. So I messaged my friend Emmy, who I speak about all the time, and we read the books together and discussed our feels as we went along that emotional roller coaster of what After was. And we are now planning to see the rest of the films because film 3 and 4 have been commissioned, which is brilliant. I'm so excited and happy that they get them. Florence is rolling if you see her. So we went to see it today at 11:10, which is not the normal time to go and see a film, but we're mums with 2 kids each and it's just the only time we could go and see. So you have to excuse the jams. Like I said, I came home and got undressed and I thought I need to document my thoughts. So I'm going to do a quick overview as to how I felt about After 1 because I haven't discussed it yet. Then I'm going to just give a general overview as to how I felt about it, go into detail as to like what happened at what point, what I liked, what I didn't like, which is not a lot because I fucking loved it, and then just general chats really. So I hope you've got a cup of tea because I'm going to talk for a long time because it needs the praise because it was epic. So After the original one, because I was / still am, I'm not as much because I'm not reading it, I'm not in it at the moment, but when I was in it, I was following all the updates, and I believe After really struggled to get the things that it deserved because it was a new, fresh book to film adaptation. They really struggled to get the rating in the States, especially. It was either PG-13 or R, and they wanted R and they got PG-13. So sex scenes were very limited. If you've read the book, you'll know it's a very sexual book. It's about a girl exploring losing her virginity and etc, etc. Like there's loads of things in there. You'll know that there's loads of swearing, whereas in the film there wasn't much swearing. It was like a muted version of the book, and I think we're all happy to get the film because it's something that a lot of people that have been reading it for such a long period of time, they wanted it. So it was good that we got it, but it wasn't at the standard as to what After We Collided is. But we settled. I sound like I'm a 15-year-old girl. I'm a 27-year-old mother, and it's ridiculous, but I just, after watching the film, I thought, fuck, like this is why I loved the book so much. So After 1, on reflection, I've only watched it twice, which I think says a lot as to how I found the film. If it was something that I absolutely loved and devoured, I would watch it over and over and over again, and I haven't done that. I only watched it twice. I watched it the first time it came out, and I watched it this week for a reminder, a refresher. Didn't even finish it. It was very muted. It didn't really represent the book at all. They had to change the ending. They had to change a lot of the things for the rating. And it just wasn't what the book was. It wasn't really that close. Hang on a second, I need to put a dummy in my child's mouth. It was okay. Since then, there's been cast changes. So, Ken Scott, Kevin, who the fuck is Kevin? Hardin's dad. He got cast changed, as did his stepmom in the film. And then we also saw new characters come in. So, that happened as well. But on the whole, I absolutely loved it. You could tell that there was different direction from the way it was shot, the different positionings of the camera, the intimate scenes that you got. Like, it was a completely different film. Like the colouring, the editing, the music choices. In the first film there were a lot of montage scenes. I don't feel like we got hardly any in the second film at all. What is she doing? Whereas it was very like montage scene heavy in the first film. It was just worlds apart. I absolutely loved it. I recommend, if you can, to go and see it. Even though that the third and fourth have been commissioned, it's not necessarily guaranteed that we will get it in cinemas again if the showings or ratings or whatever it is, the money isn't as high in the UK. It might, she's rolled over again. It might just be on Netflix, which isn't a bad thing. It was just amazing to see it on the screen. After loving it for 2 years or so, which is hardly any time compared to a lot of other people, it was just this is amazing. So I'm now going to get into obviously spoiling the film. I'm going to be spoiling 1, I'm going to be spoiling 2 and potentially 3. So if you want to read the books, go and read them and then come back. I don't want to potentially ruin any plot points for you. So we start off with Hardin sleeping in his car, and there was a homeless man. And as soon as I saw him, I said to my friend Emmy, I was like, that's Tessa's dad. I know it. I'm calling it now. And at the end of the film, it turned out that it was her dad. I called that straight away. We then go in to see Tessa start her internship at Rant Publishing. Dylan Sprouse is playing Trevor, and he is iconic. He is brilliant. I didn't really like Trevor in the book. I found him to be very needy, and Dylan he just smashed it out of the park. It was very straight to the point and very uncomfortable but very sarcastic, and he was just brilliant. He was so funny. Whenever him and Tessa had parts together, the whole cinema was laughing, albeit it wasn't busy at all. I would say there was 15 people in the whole cinema, but the way that those two bounced off each other, I absolutely loved. I loved Dylan as a character playing Trevor. I really enjoyed that balance. So we see her sort of going to the publishing house and sort of being an adult, whereas previously she was obviously at college. And that's one thing that I said to my friend, is that I feel like they're sort of ditching the college thing. In the books, she still goes to college and she's still doing that, but then she's doing her internship on the side. College was not a thing. They still went to a party with Hardin's friends, but they weren't in classes. I feel like they're taking that away from, that's one change that they've done, and I'm not mad about it. I quite liked what they've done. They've also changed the love triangle. So the love triangle in the books was between Hardin and Zed, obviously through being in college, and then Trevor was in there as well. BRB. Yes, so Trevor was just another character adding to the fuel. Whereas this time they've sort of written out Zed, and it's more about Tessa, Trevor and Hardin and that dynamic, because I feel like they're going away from the college scene. So we see her settling in, we see her go on the business trip. I love Vance and Kimberly. Kimberly and her actress is absolutely fantastic. That's exactly how I imagined her in my head. Vance is very blunt, straight to the point, sarcastic, and I love that. He's very witty, and I thought he was brilliant. Little Smith, he was adorable. So then we see her going on the business trip, we see her getting drunk, we saw the cameo of Anna, which I found very cringy, who talks about being a published author and writing multiple books in a nightclub. You don't do that, but she obviously likes to get involved in the films, is what it is. We see Tessa get drunk and drunk call Hardin, and it was very funny, that section. I really enjoyed the whole like drunk stuff. Hardin comes to find her. We then see a first drunk scene, as in like intimate scene. From not having anything at all in After to then having full-on sessions in After We Collided, it felt very intense. I feel like the sex scenes were a little bit too long, but I'm not going to complain because we got nothing in the first one. So I feel like they're going to find the fine line balance in the third film. I liked how confident Tessa was in this one and how she stood on her own 2 feet. I feel like it took her a long time to do that in the book, whereas in the film it's like from the get-go, like she was very headstrong, very confident, was like, right, I'm going to work sort of thing, and she just had her shit together a lot more. We then saw Trish, Hardin's mum. I'm sorry if you haven't seen this film because this is going to be very confusing to you. I loved the actress that plays Trish. She was fantastic. I want to say her name was Louise, can't be 100% sure, but I thought she was brilliant, portrayed it really well. I loved the relationship, and again, like the little Saki comment about Bean, I found that very funny, and she was like, what Bean? And obviously we know what she's talking about, and it was just very funny. I loved how Hardin bought her a Kindle. I really liked that. We saw Christmas. We saw the argument that Tess had with her mum. One thing, I don't know if you would have noticed, but if you've read the book compared to the film, there was not that much of Selma Blair, who plays Tessa's mum. I believe she is suffering with MS. I'm not 100% sure, but I know she's very poorly. So they adapted that. She didn't have a big role in this film, so she was still in it. They didn't have to have a cast change, but the scene of Tess and her mum, sorry, it was completely different to what it was in the book, due to that reason, I believe. So she obviously had the argument and then went back home to Hardin, and they sort of muddled on through their relationship. What else happened? We saw Tess confide in Trevor at work about how she felt with Hardin and his addiction and stuff, because when there was the fight at the Christmas party, Hardin had a drink and then he lashed out at his dad. He also dropped the bombshell that he was planning on moving back to London after he graduated college, which is something that Tess didn't know. Although I did not see once Hardin go to college during this film, so it doesn't really add up, and I don't know how that's going to go into place, but it's basically like Hardin doesn't have a job, Tess is in publishing, and that is it. College doesn't exist. I don't really understand that, but it is what it is. We then see, like I said, them sort of confiding in each other, and Trevor was like, oh, once an addict, always an addict sort of thing. And she was like, well, we'll see, don't believe that. They had the New Year's party at the frat house. They went and played beer pong, and Molly was there, and I really loved the scene of like Molly was just being an asshole, and Tess normally would just like shy away from it, and she was like, just one drink, like come on, like let's confront this shit. They played Truth or Dare, which is what happened in the first film, and before she was very timid, whereas this time like she had the confidence, and I loved that. And then there was the cat fight, and what was the Truth or Dare? It was like, is it true that you're a whore, and things like that. It was just very funny, very well done. And then there was the cat fight, and the way Tess and Hardin were in that scene was brilliant. It was very funny. Then for some reason they had an argument, which always happens. I remember it happening in the book. It was the car crash. Hardin didn't go home. Tess tried to get hold of him all night, was up worrying. Then in the morning she got in her car, Hardin called her, and then she went to answer the phone. She got in a car crash. That happened. Dylan told Hardin to stay away. he stayed away, went to London, and I remember reading that part in the book and it was so depressing. And I remember reading this book and I vividly remember messaging my friend and I was like, I don't think I can get through this. Like, this is really, like, my mental state can't handle the constant up and down, because they were always arguing, always backwards and forwards, always contradicting themselves, whereas this, it was more straight to the point, which I quite liked because it took a minute on my brain reading that book. He went to London. There was a very short little clip of like Tess trying to call her and be like, to call him and say she hasn't spoken to him in such a long time, sort of thing. It was like 9 days. And then he came back when there was the party at Vance's house and they left together. And then at the end they were walking after getting Harden's tattoo, and then we bumped into Tessa's dad, which was the homeless man, which is obviously what I called. So it was snappy. It missed out a lot of the to and fro arguments, which I really, really enjoyed. I would say there were, oh, Tessa's birthday. I loved that. I loved the intimate scene that they had on Tessa's birthday when they were in the shower. If you've watched that, you'll know when they went ice skating and stuff that day. I found it very funny, like when he was trying to get her out of like her yoga stuff and it was like all stuck to her legs, and then he went to get like the shampoo and the whole lid came off, and shampoo or conditioner or whatever it was, body wash, went everywhere. I found that really funny. It was very playful and I really liked that, because normally it's either very serious or very passionate, and it was playful and I really enjoyed that. I would say in total there were maybe 4 to 6 intimate scenes. I couldn't tell you. They were done really well. I really enjoyed it. I would go and see it again. Yeah, I really hope it goes on to Netflix. How do I think the third one's gonna go? I feel like they're gonna follow the book very well. I think who they've got on team now is brilliant, and I really hope that that stays consistent throughout the next 2. It was nice to see the college lot again. I think his name was Jace, the older guy. He wasn't in it at all. The college people that we saw were Steph and Tristan, Molly and Zed. That's all we saw. And they were very, like, it was very limited. We only saw them in one scene. So I don't know how that's going to continue in the third. Obviously we're going to see what happens with Tessa's dad. I can't remember when he overdoses. I feel like it's in the 4th. I honestly couldn't tell you, but that obviously happens. It will be like her trying to look after and care for her dad, continuing at Vance, potentially moving to Seattle, because obviously that's a plot point. Apologies, it's probably a really odd angle again. What else happens? He goes to London in the 3rd book, and I feel like Tess goes there as well, and there's a massive shitstorm and it all blows up. And again, it's just more emotional roller coaster stuff, but I just feel like the second film, it was left on a cliffhanger. It was left being like, Dad? So they've obviously left it open, and I know that it's been confirmed that they're doing 3 and 4, which is brilliant, and I'm so happy with the direction that it's going. I know this video is very random, very niche, but I'm doing it for the very few diehard After fans. I really enjoyed it. I wish I had time to reread the book so I can see the direct comparison, but I just didn't have enough time to read like 1,200 pages in 5 days. Like, I can't do that. If I was child free, maybe, but being a mum and stuff, I just don't have the time to do that. Yeah, I absolutely loved it on the whole. I smiled throughout. It absolutely flew by. I laughed. My friend cried during it. I didn't. It was just, I had such high expectations because After was set so low. I had high expectations for After and they fell short, really short. And then with everything that's been shown and all like the changes that have been made, and Anna getting what she wanted and what she deserved for the films, my expectations were up here and it went sky high. I could not be happier with how it was. I'm so excited to see the direction as to where it goes. I thought it was brilliant. I don't feel like there were any negatives at all. I loved seeing Harden being able to swear and be the true ones that they were in the book. I really enjoyed it. If you've seen it, leave me a comment. Let me know your feels, your thoughts. I'm so happy that I've seen it. I wasn't going to see it at all. I wasn't that bothered because of what the original After was like. But I'm so glad that I went to go and see it. I've had the loveliest day. And yeah, I'm going to go to bed with a smile on my face. I'm going to go and watch some reviews and chatty vlogs like this is. So I'm going to go. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what your favourite part was. I don't know what my favourite part was. I just loved drunk Tessa. Really sarcastic. I loved the sarcasm of this film. That was my favourite part. Whenever there was a sarky part, I loved it, because it's very much like me and my personality. Anyway, I'm going to go. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I shall see you all in my next one. Bye. So, you're going to have to excuse my appearance and everything. I couldn't put this video live without sitting down discussing the recent updates that has happened regarding film 3 and 4. I found out this morning, and I'm not going to lie, I was really shocked and really upset, which I know might seem really trivial and silly. But I think if you watch this video, then you'll understand and you'll relate because you're a fan. So there's been more cast changes, and everything has gone to shit. I apologise about Florence as well. She's fine. She's just rolling. Landon has been recast. Vance has been recast. Kimberly has been recast. I feel like there's another one. The people that I loved in this film that I've just spoken about, they're gone. And I can't get my head around it. So they are now filming. Today is the 8th of October. They are now filming in Bulgaria, and they're doing film 3 and 4 back to back. And they're filming in Bulgaria because the corona cases are lower there than what they are in the States. My battery just died, so apologies. My first issue with that is, let's just wait. We've waited a long time for these films anyway. Let's not rush it. Like, let's just wait. We're in a global pandemic. Everything's on pause. So why are they pushing it and doing it now in a country where it's not filmed in, and not, like, it's never been there. It's never been set there. Like, I don't understand it. It obviously all comes down to money. Anna, she's not a part of it anymore. The author of these books isn't a part of it. There's conflicting rumours going around as to what actually happened. Some people are saying that she left of her own accord because the, I think it's called Voltage Pictures. I don't know what these things are, but like the people that I would assume commission the film, again, don't shoot me if I'm wrong, they did the cast changes, and out of supporting her cast that she picked herself, she stepped down. She's not doing it anymore. That's one thing that I've heard. The other thing that I've heard is that she got fired because she was sharing private information about the film and scenes and stuff to her friends, and then obviously that information's got out. Regardless of what's happened, the author of the books, the creator of this whole franchise, is no longer a part of the last 2 films. I feel very upset. I feel hurt, and I can imagine a lot of the people that follow it too are the same. I feel like these films are going to be a car crash. They could have done it. They could have pulled it back after this second one, and it could have had just a shitty first one, but then the next 3 were great. And it's going down the Divergent route, where the first one was great, second one was a bit iffy, and then third, and then the fourth was never even a thing. Divergent by Veronica Roth, if you weren't aware. it could have been a fantastic book to movie adaptation, and it's just gone to shit. I don't think I'm going to follow the next two. I can imagine that Joe and Hero that play Tessa and Hardin, I think, to be honest, I think they're contractually signed to do the next two, but I genuinely believe that if that weren't a thing, that they wouldn't be doing it either, because pretty much everyone has been recast apart from the main two. We don't know about like the side characters like Molly and Zed and Tristan and Steph. We don't know about them yet. Tessa's mum, Carol, got recast, which I sort of understand because Selma Blair was ill, like I mentioned in the video. I understand that. But everything else, I just think Landon is Landon. I just can't get my head around it. And I think if I think about it too much, it's going to make me really upset, which is ridiculous. But it had so much potential. The director, Roger Kemble? I don't know. The one that we did two, gone. Everything that I loved about the second film is now being changed. There is no like, Anna's not there to like try and keep it on track and be like, no, this is how I want it to be. Like, she's not there anymore, so it's going to be a completely different film. Completely different. What's the point? So I just couldn't put this review out of After We Collided and not do an update. I was going to do it in the comments, but I can't. It doesn't feel right. I'm really annoyed. Why did it have to go to box office? Why couldn't it have just been a Netflix original and done really well, like To All the Boys I've Loved Before? Like, that was fantastic, and they've nailed it and they've done it. And I feel really sad for the fans and for Anna, regardless of what she did, whether she did share information that shouldn't have been shared, regardless of what happened, I don't know. But I feel really sad that there is no chance to rectify this. Like, it's done. It's not like, for example, The Mortal Instruments, the first film that came out, that wasn't very good, and then they got a second shot of it on Netflix as a series, which I quite enjoyed. That's not going to happen with this, and it hurts as a fan of the books. And I loved book 3 and I loved book 4, and it's just not going to be what it should be. And I wish that it was either never picked up or it was done completely differently, because as a fan, seeing all the mistakes, so messy, seeing all the recasting and things like that. What's the matter? What's the matter? Come over here. Come and roll to me. Seeing all of these things, people that sort of liked it but aren't necessarily involved with reading and having that personal connection with it, they're just gonna, what's the point? And I feel like that as a fan. So leave me a comment below, let me know your thoughts, let me know what you think. It's just crap that like a series like this is just being completely killed. I wish that they'd scrap it, which hurts even more, but at least it would be left at a good point. It has so much potential with Dylan and with Candice King that plays Kimberly. Like, there was so much potential, and Vance, even though we only saw a slight sliver of him, the scenes that we had, he was fantastic. And all of that is just gone because they're too impatient to wait, and I don't get it. I really don't. And my heart goes out to everyone that's working on the film that don't necessarily agree with the changes, because it wouldn't be a nice working environment. Everything's on hiatus for God knows how long. Why can't this be? It's like Harry Potter. Like, they just wouldn't have done it. I know I can't compare the two, but they would never have like been like, well, Ron's not Ron anymore. Like, that would never have happened. So I just don't get it. Let's just wait a year and a half and see where we are, and then let's pick it up again. We don't need to churn it out that quickly. And I've been reading all the comments, and so many people have said I would have rather have waited and had the original cast that we had. I could talk about this for a very long time. I've been messaging my friends and it's just shit. So I'm now going to go and have a coffee. I still loved 2. I don't know how I feel about 3 and 4. Where have you gone? Hi! I'm now going to go and have a coffee and sit with my child. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Just feel like, oh, it's just done, isn't it? RIP after movie franchise, because it's just not what it should have been and I feel really sad. So thanks for watching, and I don't know if you'll ever see another after video from me because there's no point. Okay, I'm gonna go. I will see you all in my next video. Bye.